And staying in the region, a new flashpoint has emerged between China and Australia. They've had a difficult last few years. Australia was the first country to demand a global investigation into the origins of the Wuhan virus. China did not take it well. A trade war erupted that hurt Australia more than China. Then in 2022, a Labour government came to power in Canberra. They tried to mend ties. They made overtures to stabilize the relationship. But today, a verdict from Beijing could undo all the progress. A Chinese court has sentenced an Australian to death. He was detained in 2019. Beijing says he's a spy. Canberra has called the verdict appalling. Our next report has all the details.
The year was 2019. Yang Hengjun had arrived in China's Guangzhou. It was supposed to be a normal day, but within moments, everything changed. Yang was intercepted by Chinese officials and taken away. Since then, he's been in China's custody, subjected to torture and denied proper legal representation. After a secret trial, China declared Yang is a spy. Today, they announced his punishment, 5 years after he was arrested. Yang has been handed a suspended death sentence.
He was found guilty of espionage and sentenced to death with 2 years probation, and it was ordered that all his personal properties be confiscated.
The reaction in Canberra has been sharp. The Australian government summoned the Chinese ambassador and demanded an explanation. The Labour government is promising a tough response.
We understand that this can be commuted to a life sentence following 2 years. The Australian government is appalled at this outcome. We will be communicating our response in the strongest terms.
But these assurances will hardly be any consolation for Yang's family. Yang's sons are in Australia. They say his health is failing and China is denying him medical treatment. When Anthony Albanese travelled to China last year, Yang's sons had written to the Prime Minister, asking him to secure their father's release. While the visit was fruitful in breaking the ice, Canberra was unable to secure Yang's release, because Beijing wanted to settle some scores. Yang used to live in China. He even worked for the Chinese state at the Ministry of State Security. In 2000, he immigrated to Australia. After leaving China, he developed his reputation as a prominent critic. He spoke out against China's human rights abuses and advocated for democracy. Yang had even written spy novels that featured China's vast espionage apparatus. Before his detention, Yang had become restrained in his criticism. He was being more cautious in his public statements. But Beijing still went after him when they got the chance. China's order put Yang's future in doubt, and the détente between China and Australia in jeopardy.
So we actually have very little information about what it is that Yang is alleged to have done. And this really, I think, shines a spotlight on the opaqueness of China's criminal justice system, especially when it comes to national security violations.
Detention of Australians in China have soured ties in the past. Last year, China released Cheng Li, a journalist. She's now back in Australia after spending more than 3 years in Chinese captivity. Cheng too was accused of espionage. Her release would have given the Yang family some hope, but today's verdict has crushed it.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.